Hi friends, welcome back to my class. And before of this class, what we had discussed, how to enable MFA for our AWS account, at the same time how to set the billing alarm, and how we are going to enable the service SNS notification service, at the same time password policy like that. So today's section we are going to discuss about the IAM. IAM, it is stands for Identity Access Management. In the name itself, it is there, Identity Access Management. It will manage the identities who are accessing the AWS console. Means, suppose I am a root user, I am the owner of that AWS account. So I am created some infrastructure regarding one application. So I am not one and only the person who had managed the entire infrastructure, entire things. So I just want some team who are also able to log in into my console, and they will be able to manage my resources. So how I will do? Can I give my root credentials to them? Is it recommended? No, not at all. Because of I am not at all supposed to provide my root username and password to them, because I am the root to, if I provide the access as a root admin, they will do anything. They will, even though they will destroy my account as well. So if it is a fresher, accidentally he had deleted some resources, so it will create a loss to me, as well as if we think in the organization perspective, it will create a huge loss for the organization. So instead of doing that, what I will do, I have the one solution which is available in AWS. That is nothing but IAM. IAM is the service offered by the AWS, which it will be used to create the users in the AWS account, and we can be able to limit the access for those users. So based on their requirement, he based on the tasks which he need to perform on the AWS accounts, I'm going to enable those permissions only. So based on the permissions which I had set, the user will be able to do the tasks only. So other than the task which I had specified, he is not at all able to perform other tasks. So I had restricted that user to do the tasks only. So how I will be able to done? That will be done by using the IAM only, Identity Access Management. So just please have a quick look on this. First of all, we need to understand on theoretical way. Then we are going to check on the practical way. So IAM, it is a service that has been provided by the AWS, which is used to securely control access to AWS resources. So to manage users and the level of access. So even though I had created users, I just want to restrict the level of access. For some users, they will be able to access EC2 instances only. For some users, they need to only access to the database servers only. So based on the requirement, I am going to create access to them for that particular resources only. And IAM is a global service. It does not apply to regions. And as we discussed on earlier, AWS have different regions, different availability zones, and different edge locations. These are the infrastructure, how we create our resources in that particular network. So, but this IAM is not at all applicable to regional level. It is global level. If I create the one IAM is user, then if I create some permissions, so on any region, he can be able to access those resources with that particular access. Okay, what I can do by using the IAM, I can be able to create users, I can be able to create groups, policies, roles. What are the difference between these four things? So on later slide we can discuss step by step. And what IAM will do, it will share the access to our AWS account. Instead of user login as a root user, we're creating users in that particular account. By using that user ID, the user will be by using the credentials, users will be able to log into my AWS account, and it will provide a particular permissions, and I will be able to provide a multi-factor authentication, one password policies, identity federation, supports for PCI DSS compliance. Okay, and First of all, we need to understand what is the root user. Root user is the user which had been created at the time of account creation, and he is the one of the AWS account. He will be getting the billing things. He will be able to pay the things. He will be able to destroy our entire AWS infrastructure. So he can do everything, whatever he want in on the account. So that's why we are not at all recommended to provide the root user credentials to any user. Okay, for performing the day-to-day activities. And IAM user. IAM users are not the separate users. Suppose if I while I am creating the user while I am creating my AWS account, I am the root user. So I have the access to everything. In the similar way, you- we are creating the IAM users. IAM users are also the users within that AWS account only. They have the username and password. We can set the MFA factor authentication to them as well. So even though they are the IAM users, by login into the my portal, they can use the multi-factor authentication. Okay, and how the access will be provided. So generally, how we are going to log in into our AWS account? Generally, we are logging into by using the portal. It's a graphical user interface. So generally, what I will do, I will take aws.amazon.com, and that way, I by providing my username and password and multi-factor authentication, I will be able to log on into my AWS portal. This is a console access. So in another way also we can be able to access my AWS portal. How I can be able? That is nothing but the programmatic access. Programmatic access is nothing but uh, without console login also user can be able to access the resources which are live in my AWS portal. So that is nothing but the programmatic access. So for enabling the programmatic access, so we are going to discuss in further permissions. Suppose by default new user, suppose I had created one new user with console access, then without assigning any policies to them. So by default user, not at all, I am not attaching any policies, any permissions to the user. Just I'm going to create one user. By default, he will not get any permissions to perform any activity in my portal. So if I create a user, I need to give some permissions to him. Then only he will be able to perform those specified tasks. Otherwise, he just able to log in my portal. He can't do anything. Okay, AWS console type. I just now told you, no, simple default user. So programmatic access means here console access we are going to provide username and password. Suppose if it is a programmatic access, what the things we are going to provide? We are providing access key and secret key. These two keys pair, it will call as key pairs, access key as well as secret key. By using these keys, we can access in a programmatic manner. Suppose in my from my command prompt, I will be able to access the resources which are live under the my portal. Okay, groups. Generally, what we know, groups. Suppose in my class, I have 50 students are there. So I just want to take all those 50 students under one platform. How I can do that task? So by grouping them, I will create one group for them. Suppose if you take what is the well-known term for us, WhatsApp group. I am going to create WhatsApp group for them for the 50 users. I am going to, once I had created a group, I am going to add those 50 members in that group. Then whatever the things which I had posted in that group, all the users will be able to access now. In the similar way only, I am getting one user. Those users will be able to access the EC2 instances. So I am going to create one more user. Those users also will be able to access the same EC2 instances only. So instead of doing that, what I will do, I will create a group. Though that group people will have the access to the EC2 access. So whatever the users which I am adding in that particular group, by default they will be able to access the EC2 instance. Separately, I am not able to as any policies to particular user. Just what I will do, I will simply create one user and I will add the same user in the my required group. So based on the policies which I have set for that group, those policies will be automatically applied to that particular users which I had created. Policies. What is policies? We have different policies. Regulations. Policies means nothing. What are the policies which I had set in my AWS account? My all things will made up of those policies only. So that is expected behavior. Like if I set the policy, my account, everything will behave the as per the policy only. How we can set the policies? By using JSON, JavaScript or notation. By using the JSON format, I will be able to implement the policies. Once I had created one policy, what I will do, that policy will be attached to users as well as groups. Okay, what is the role? Role is identity with the permission policies. So how? Suppose I had created one role. In that role, I will set some permissions. So what I will do, I will assign that role to particular user. So what are the permissions which I had set in that role? The user will be able to perform those roles automatically. So this is the concept of roles. Roles can be used to apply permissions to resources as well. Okay. And what I will do, activate MFA on AWS account. This thing we had already implemented on day before on previous class, and create the password policy. So I just want to set the password policy. I will show to you how I am going to implement. Just a moment. Password policies. Just I am going to open the IAM. So here we have the, just a moment, account settings. So in account settings, this AWS account uses the following default policy. So I didn't set up any policy up to now. So that's why what happened, it has taken the automatic default password policy. So what has been included in the default password policy includes minimum of three of the following. Means if I set my password, that will be have the one uppercase letter, lowercase letter, numbers, non-alphanumeric characters, that is a special characters, and it will never ever expire and must not be identical to your AWS account name or email ID. Means it will not be identical to our AWS account name or email address. How? While generating, generally what we do, once while we are creating any password for anything, generally what we are sending by default passwords 1 to 8, otherwise our mobile numbers, that is continuous numbers, or my date of birth, or sometimes my roll numbers, like that. So that will be easily guessed. Suppose if any somebody want to guess the same, they can easily. So first of all, by setting up the password, we can make sure our password must be strong. So because of then only the others will be unable to guess our password. Suppose we can set the password like 1 to 8, then anybody can crack the password, na? So while setting password, just please be cautious. And what I will do, I don't want a default policy for my account. I just want to set the new thing. So here, custom policy. So minimum 8 characters. I can set like 12 characters as well, and requires at least one uppercase letter, requires at least one lowercase letter, requires at least a number. So based on the things which I had mentioned here, the password policy will set like that. And later, if any user want to change their password, suppose turn on password expiration, how many days? Generally, in companies we have the 90 days password expiration policy. In the similar way, I'm going to set the 90 days policy. Prevent password reuse. Once they had used the password, they are not supposed to reuse the password, like that. And allow users to change their own password. Password expiration requires admission is not required. Just by mention the things what the required, I had just click on save changes. Then automatically the password policy will has been setted. So then next onwards, if anybody want to reset their password, for every 90 days they need to change their password. And while setting the password, they must need to follow these rules. Okay, I hope you understand that point. This is the thing, this is the way how we are going to set the password policy. And this is all about the IAM. And regarding the practical things, we are going to check on the next class. Thank you.